One, two, three, one, two, three, let's go. Hello, dear people, welcome. Today I was thinking I could talk more about the philosophers themselves, and I actually figured one thing I had no clue, and I found it really interesting because there was this guy 500 years before the Christ, and he already know what basically actually maybe not most of the people don't realize nowadays. His name was Aristarchus. I had no clue he existed, and he already knew like the other stars you see in the night, they probably have exoplanets. He knew there is thing called heliocentrism, which is for us, for 99 of the people, probably something completely normal, that Earth rotates around the sun. It's very much normal since the Galileo Galilei, right? The Galileo Galilei, like father of modern science. Before them, not many people know, but the more educated one knows that people believed that Earth is in the center of the universe. Yeah, I don't know how he knew, but he was a philosopher. But he was also an astronomer. But let's face it, like 500 years ago, they had no really good telescopes. They had nothing. They just probably look at the sky. I don't know how it worked back then. If someone is an expert of antique philosophers and antique astronomers, you can tell me. And just so you know, it's 1,800 years before Copernicus. So that's incredible. And Copernicus, he wasn't a modern astronomer, but he already could say, he already was amazing. And I also wrote some of the names of the philosophers which connected it a little bit with the astronomy, because it is connected somehow. Like the philosophers always think about the substances as a soul, or substance as a material, or material, like something you can touch. Since some of them connected it, like the soul is part of the body, or they separated it. So Plato, he was actually saying that heavens are perfect, like perfect celestial. So then later, I don't know who he was, sorry, he came up with the moon isn't perfect because they already could see the craters. And he had a big problem with the church, and I don't know, I think it was actually also Galileo Galilei. Yeah, I think it was Galileo Galilei. He figured out, he also seen a Neptune, right? But he had no clue it's a planet. He thought it's a distant star. But one after one, Plato, he thought perfect celestial, yeah? Then Democritus, he's a special one because he believed in atomism. He emphasized atomism, and it's also, we are coming from this in the modern science, right? That everything can be taken on from really small pieces. Everything can be on really small pieces. And he proposed also many worlds, other universes. This was 400 years before Christ. So Democritus also. Then we have Aristotle, even though he was quite, he had many breakthrough, of course, obviously. We can talk about him later, but he was proposing the geocentrism kind of officially. Again, everything orbits the Earth. Then we move a little bit to the Renaissance, to Galileo Galilei. Galileo Galilei, father of modern science, changed a lot. He was a mathematician, physicist, actually like professional astronomist. He had very big telescope, and he figured many things. He figured how motion works, you know, and he had a very big problem with the church at the time, because he realized that the geocentrism is not correct. He proposed heliocentrism, and he went to the head of the church at the time. And he asked him if he can actually post a book, if he can write a book, post it on Facebook. And so they agree he can, but he shouldn't propose it as the only theory. And what he done was that he proposed two theories. One of them was the old one, the geocentrism, but he pointed kind of too much, very much, that there is this theory that Earth orbits the Sun, you know, and it's rotating and so on, and there are other worlds like ours, and also proposed the multi-universe. So yeah, and he was, after this, was sentenced to home imprisonment until his end of the life. So it was very sad. Also, he went blind before the end. Yeah, and he also seen so much. He figured out the moons of Jupiter, right? He's seen some phases of Venus, so that all suggested that there are more to it, not only geocentrism, one correct theory. He also seen Neptune, the planet Neptune, but he thought it's a distant star from what I've read. And I still think it's absolutely remarkable that he did this, you know, it was several hundreds years back. And then we have one last astronomer, philosopher, which I chose, and it's the Giordano Bruno, which again had a big problem with church. He had a really big problem with authority, which is close to me. I don't like it too. Giordano Bruno, he realized, not only by watching the space, because he was no professional astronomer, he realized there will be similar systems to ours as exoplanets, different star systems, and he suggested infinite universes, which is the question we ask now still, as in 21st century. We asked it also last centuries. So perhaps he was right in many things, so maybe there are infinite universes, we don't know. And in general, he anticipated the modern cosmology, because he was kind of right in everything. And how it was actually, not only with the cosmology, he was burned by the church to death in so-called Inquisition. And yeah, I think he was kind of hero of the astronomy, even though he was no scientist, he was a philosopher. But as I said, I think it's pretty connected. At this time, he also, of course, was saying that Earth orbits on its axis, or rotates, and people didn't want to listen to him, because it obviously was really difficult to accept that the Earth is moving when we don't feel it. Yeah. So, and then of course Copernicus and so on, Einstein, but those were actually scientists. So that's it for today. Goodbye.